Hi, my name's Lofty, and in this video I wanted to talk a little bit about the Star Citizen Live Special Edition, A More Stable Universe video that Cloud Imperium put out the other day, and just talk a little bit about what the devs are saying compared to, what we see in the PU and what that means for the future, and what their plans are, and how that aligns with how I feel as a player and how a lot of people I've spoken to feel as a player. And right off the bat, I want to say I think Cloud Imperium are doing exactly the right thing by getting it out there and talking about these issues, and having someone like Jared. Obviously he's a fun guy, you can see he loves sort of being in front of the camera, and I think it's a really good forum for the devs to come and do a 3-hour Q&A. That's a really good thing, because it helps us understand why there is problems and what they're doing to fix it. And he's outlining in his opening little monologue here that we're taking team members off these brand new shiny features that they've always been working on, and we're making them work on bugs, progressive bug fixes, and content for the already existing features that we have, which I have to say is exactly the right call in my opinion. You really need a stable baseline before you pile new features on top of that, and I think we've been seeing a lot of new features coming in, that do break other things in unexpected ways. It's always the case in software development, that a bug will arise in a completely different system unrelated to what you've been working on, caused by the thing you've been working on, so it's really nice to hear that they are going to focus a lot more on shoring up the experience we have already, because I think it's what I and a lot of other players have been crying out for already, that okay, yeah, we're maybe willing to spend a bit more money, but only if the game works. Why would we spend money on something that doesn't work? Despite the ship sales, despite the marketing and all that kind of stuff. So I've really got to applaud this, if this is what they decide to do and this is the direction that they go down, that they want more content and a gameplay tied to story narrative experience, which again I think is exactly the right choice. You really need more stuff in the PU to flesh out the experience and to really make people feel like they're part of something, and we can start, obviously, as Jared's speaking about in his opening monologue here, we can start to see that in the factional warfare between headhunters and citizens for prosperity in Pyro, and he's even saying that Pyro is going to change over the course of this season, or whatever they want to call it, that something's going to happen with the faction warfare that we're currently seeing now with Defend Pyro and all that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping it's more than just some text box or even a slight visual change. It really needs to be impactful, and it needs to draw players in and give them a reason to fight for one of these factions beyond just some red ship paint or whatever it is. There needs to be some rewards for that, doesn't there, really? So I'm hoping that by focusing on content and gameplay and tying that to story narratives, that we'll really see some more immersive gameplay, because you can't always just rely on emergent player gameplay. They need some kind of anchor. That's why Jump Town's so great, because it's like this focal point for players. If you have a Jump Town event, that there's still going to be a lot of people that are going to fight over the drugs, which is a great sort of focal point for people to come together in an emergent way. Imagine wrapping that in a really cool narrative as well, not just some text on a screen or not just a voiceover, that there's something actually else there that ties that narrative down as well and shapes that gameplay. So excited for that, and like I say, I do have to commend Sig and Benoit and Jared for just sitting down and talking about these issues, because I think it takes a lot of humility to admit when you're wrong, and I think it takes a lot of humility to admit when you've made mistakes, and I think that they're doing as much as they can to try and convince us that they're doing something about it, because they've realised this can't go on forever. They've realised that people aren't going to hang around forever. They've obviously seen player numbers drop. Jared even says that that they never get anywhere near the concurrency of players on the PTU and on the testing builds as they do on the live build, and of course they don't, because everyone's playing the live build when it's live. So I think it's a step in the right direction to go for this monthly patch cadence focused on content and not features. If they can just add some new content every single month, that would keep people coming back at least for a couple of days just to try out the new content of the existing loops that are already there. New missions, new types of missions even that you could have, all that kind of stuff. So excited to see what comes of this, if they can keep their word. The other thing I have to say as well about the update to the video cadence, I'm not really bothered about that, Jared. If you want to make videos, that's great. What I think people are more interested in is more of these Q&As. If you were going to make more Q&As about the development process, more Q&As about server meshing, about like you have done here about the 4.0 preview and why and how, and get into the real meat and bones of why some of these bugs occur. Like you say, you're gonna pull up these Jira tickets apparently. So that would be great if you could look into some of these more serious bugs that maybe don't get a lot of attention because they don't get as many confirmations on Spectrum or in the issue council as other bugs that are more game breaking, for example, but that still affect a large majority of your player base. That instead of filing an issue council report, just don't play the game. The ship gets deleted after a cargo run with 3 million credits worth of cargo on it. They just uninstall. They don't bother going and asking for an issue council report. you know. So I think that'll be really helpful in the future if they do actually bring these things up and talk about them and give people some transparency on some of these bugs that are really frustrating, that you don't know why they happen, or if you do know why they happen, you can't understand why they haven't been fixed, you know. So I do have to applaud that, really. So yeah, not so much bothered about the behind the ship things. Like, that's, you know, that's an artist's thing. If they want to talk about that, great. If you want to make videos on that, great. But I think that, you know, the main focus of it should be on the technical side of things. We should be hearing from technical people about why we're suffering these bugs, you know. And I think it's all well and good to promote content of shiny new ships and the artist that worked on them and how he worked on it and what the inspiration was and everything, as long as your actual product works, because otherwise people are just getting frustrated. You know, people are getting frustrated that the product doesn't work, and here you are bigging up this latest ship that you're going to sell in a couple of weeks, you know. And that doesn't quite sit right with people, I don't think. So as much as I can applaud the openness and candidness of Jared and Benoit and the developers here, you have to say, look, you need to change your marketing tactics a little bit, and you need to not be as predatory when it comes to these ship sales, in terms of a tacit admission that you know the stability's not there in the game, but yet you're willing to take people's money still. You know, it's not like they are ever saying you are pledging to support this game. That's not how you know, you can say what you want about a disclaimer, or, you know, having to acknowledge something when you start the game about it being an alpha, but that's not how ships are marketed. Ships are not marketed in the sense that you are paying to help test this ship. They're marketed in the sense of, look how cool the ship is, look at all the stuff you can do with this ship, you can shoot guns from it, you can do this, you can do that, right? That's marketing. It's marketing 101. You never want to say anything negative about the thing that you're trying to sell, because otherwise people won't buy it, obviously. And they pay the best people in the world for their marketing. It's almost $1 billion investment at this point, right? They've got good marketing people that know what they're doing, and they're paid to do a job, so they do that job. However predatory it may seem, however anti-consumer it may seem almost, or sorry, anti-user of the product it may seem, they are just there to rake in the money, and they've been hired to do that specific job. You know, they did not exist before Cloud Imperium became a thing. I can tell you, because I've been part of publishing departments that publish games, that you build it from the ground up. If you're going to be a publisher yourself, you build it from the ground up. If you don't go to a bigger publisher already, if you're not in the position to go to a big publisher like EA or Ubisoft or something like that, or Devolver, or whoever it is, you have to publish this thing yourself, which costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to have a publishing operations manager, to have marketing managers, to have content people, to people who make graphics, people who make trailers, all of this kind of stuff, people who just distribute that content, you know, content agents, you know, PR firms who work with you with other distributors. It's all of this like big, huge behemoth that is now too big to stop doing what they're doing. They've got this cadence up with ships and whatever. They've got a schedule. They know what's coming out. They prepare for it. They make these trailers months and months in advance. You know, it's that kind of thing. So as much as I applaud, you know, I'm rambling a bit again here. We're going on 8 minutes just in Jared's opening monologue. One thing I did also want to say, specifically about the Q&A and about Star Citizen Live, is I think that Jared does do a wonderful job of being a presenter and of being a frontman for Cloud Imperium, the face of Cloud Imperium in terms of videos, because you can quite clearly see he has a passion for what he does. I know they've got this fancy set and he's got his expensive laptop and all that kind of stuff, but he is a presenter and he really does come across well. And you can take it from me, it is so hard to get developers and anyone in a technical position to come and talk about their job on camera, or to get anyone to talk about anything on camera, right? People just don't want to do it because it exposes them to the community, exposes their real name or their position or their face or something like that really doesn't sit right with a lot of people, because they know that they will get some amount of ire from people like me on the internet, you know, and rightly so. If you know, if you're not comfortable with doing that kind of thing, then you shouldn't do it, you know, really. And I think it takes a lot of courage to get up here and make videos every week or whatever it is, and come out and talk about these things. I just wish that they would talk about them openly and transparently a bit more, rather than about ship sales and rather than about that kind of thing, you know. But like I said, really, to wrap it all up, I have to applaud them for even just making this Q&A. And I know I've only talked about, you know, Jared's opening monologue, but I really think that's a step in the right direction, to being more open and honest with people, and I think that will lead to more trust within the community. And that's really what they need to be fostering here, is trust in the community, because a lot of us have been trusting for a long time, and are only really now starting to see the fruits of that. I mean, you can look back to 3.0 with the procedural planet generation, you know, and then all the patches up till that. I think 3.18 was the most unstable it was. I literally couldn't play for months. I was locked out of my account. Just literally couldn't play. So, you know, to have what we have now, I think is fantastic. And I know I made a video last week detailing what I think the problems with Star Citizen are, and I still think those are valid problems. I still think that, you know, the higher management there still have too much fine-tuning control over what actually happens, and they should maybe present one coherent vision and let the rest of the team, the really talented people, almost, you know, 700 or 800, however many people it was that work on this game now, let them cook. You know, let them bring stability to this thing that we already have. Don't get them to do any fancy new stuff because you want this new ship coming in because it has this new feature. Get them to work on what they already have, which is exactly what Jared's saying that they're going to do. That ships that they're going to bring out will already have utility in the PU because they'll already mesh into the game loops that are there already. And I really applaud that. So yeah, in closing, for this video, part 1, I'm going to make a part 2 going over everything else because I have watched a full 3 hours. I could just talk forever, you know me. So to wrap it all up, I just have to really applaud what they're doing in terms of just being a bit more open and honest, even in the boilerplate statement of this video, because most people will only watch the first 10 minutes and listen to Jared speak or skim through the video, so I think they've done a really good job there. So yeah, let me know what you think about Jared's opening monologue. What do you think about Jared? What do you think about the whole media production aspect of Star Citizen, you know, the YouTube, the behind the scenes? Do you want to see more Q&A with developers, or would you rather see fly rounds of ships and what the artists are doing with ships, or the narrative content? Because I personally think that the narrative content should be within the game. Everything's immersive in this game. It should all be diegetic within the game. That everything that you know about the universe should be told to you from within the game. The classic thing in filmmaking: show, don't tell. Show me in the game what the universe is like. Don't make videos about it, Jared. Tell me in the game. Show me even in the game what is happening. Why do I care about it? Anyway, what do you think? Let me know in the comments.